he knows that he's in a lot of deep shit. He's a habitual liar. He's a sociopath. He, gave people a sexually transmitted disease on purpose, knowingly.
Yeah.
And so now he puts up this apology, and then he does his TikTok apology. Bro, I didn't know that I could laugh even harder than from his written note apology. His TikTok apology was hilarious. It was like one of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. He sets up a camera away from him at a distance. He slumps down. He's wearing a hoodie and he kind of squints like he's in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast.
Hey.
Flipped up this room if you're watching it on the audio section because the audio in this was fucking terrible. There was too much mic bleed, but now we're back here again. So we have our very special guest once again. We have Ed Park. Cheers. My friend. So the last time this fool and I did a podcast.
So we were talking about the shooting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we took a break to go have dinner, and we were gonna, jump on another subject afterwards. In my perspective, we're at the end of our meal. We're pretty much finishing up. And I just hear you say, is time slowing down? And I'm like, okay, is David asking me this existential question because we're past our 30s now and we're getting older? But then you started having this twitch, right? So you would slink down and then you jump. And then you
shit.
Slink down and jump. And you're like, time's slowing down, man. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Okay, so we do a whole podcast, right? This is like an hour and a half in, and then we already eat our meal. So this is about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck is happening, but as Ed is talking, you know what the funny thing is we're having a deep conversation, and then I feel my mind drifting off, and I'm like, David, you better focus on what this man is saying. Don't be a fucking asshole. Right? So we're having a deep conversation about life, his family stuff, and I'm listening to him, but as he's speaking, his mouth is moving, but the words are coming out a lot slower.
It's out of sync.
Yeah, and so I'm like, damn, dude, David, you gotta focus, man. Pay attention. Ed's feelings are gonna be hurt.
Hey, man, this hot pot is spicy.
And dude, I started remembering this stupid thought that I had in my head. And before I said that line, is time slowing down? I started thinking about Google searches. I was like, I remember a Google search where somebody ate some type of crustacean and they had weed and they caused a weird chemical reaction that caused them to hallucinate.
Okay.
And so I'm like, and then I started thinking to myself, as I was thinking that, I'm like, is that even really an article? Did I just make that stuff up on the spot as I'm eating crawfish? And in my mind, I'm telling myself, okay, if you read an article that says that you having shellfish with this weird weed that you had, it causes a weird hallucination. Why are you continuing to crack more and more and more and continue to eat them? And so this is this weird conversation I'm having in my head.
Right.
And then the moment I asked you that question, it was that in my mind, what I saw was me moving my head this way. And then I couldn't get my head to move back. So it was just kind of locked here. I'm like, David, you probably look so stupid because you're staring at one spot. Move your fucking head so Ed doesn't think something's wrong with you. And then I say, is time slowing down?
So I look at you and your eyes are puffy and they're red.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, okay, I've never given you weed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a regular smoker, but I never give my weed to anyone because I've been in too many situations where someone's like, hey, let me try some of that. And they get fucked up. Right?
Yeah.
So I never give my weed to anyone. So I'm like, dude, are you high? David, are you you don't smoke though. You're like, yeah, I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I didn't smoke anything.
So when you asked me that, I remember I had to sit there and sift through my head. So I started freaking out a little bit because I'm like, did somebody roof me? Did somebody put something in my fucking drink?
Right. Or the food we were eating, all that.
Yeah. And then the only thing that I remember is that I took a tincture, right? Which
what's this tincture? What is it?
It was just CBD.
Right.
But I think I took too much of it. And then with that on top of having 3 glasses of fucking tequila.
Oh, shit.
I think that shit mixed together because those tinctures do have a little bit of THC. I don't react well to THC at all.
Oh,
so
shit.
I think that and that together, I got crossfaded. So, and I remember sitting there, right? And I was like, David, you cannot drive. You got to give your keys to Ed. and I think I gave you my keys.
Yeah, it was just slow motion. It was just like, I don't even think you said anything. I think you said you better drive. I was like, yeah, I'm going to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then like moments later, you need to drive. I can't drive. I'm like, did I give you my keys? I'm like, yes, man. You literally just gave them to me. Dude, you know that kind of high? Like I felt that when I was 15, the first time I ever smoked weed. You know, like when I'm with my high school buddies, we had a little like Coke can and you press the middle of it, and put holes in it and put the weed there. And then you smoke it out of the lip.
Bro, I was
the can.
I was lightweight freaking out on the inside. I was trying not to overreact and have go into like a paranoid frenzy, because at that moment, while you were talking, like colors started popping up.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, this is this weed? What the fuck is this? Because as you were talking, it was like, have you seen when somebody, like a video of like somebody creating like 3D molds of stuff and it just turns into like spikes of things and cubes?
Right. 3D printers, time lapses. Right?
That's what I was seeing in all these fucking colors. So I couldn't figure out what was happening.
Okay, I've never felt like that.
Yeah. And then at a certain point, I actually gave up. I was like, you know what? I'm actually dead. I told myself in my head that I died. So I started picturing myself floating outside of my body, looking at us having a meal, and I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
This is it. This is how I go.
I was like a few out in my head. I'm having this conversation in my head. I'm like, so this is the afterlife, and after we're done with our meal, I'm gonna float to heaven. So I gave up, and I was waiting for God to take me away.
That's not uncommon to so many people. I felt like that where I thought, I'm dead. This is it. I should call my mom.
So I'm like, David, don't freak out.
Yeah.
Don't go into this like paranoid frenzy, because you already died.
It's already done.
Like, it's done. Yeah. You can't do anything. Just look at your life.
You just don't fear it.
Yeah.
Right? It's happened.
And then I remember going into the car, and this is one of the funniest parts to me. I remember going into the car and thinking to myself, I have been in this car for 3 days. And then I was like, wait, but the restaurant isn't that far from the house. So it can't be 3 days.
Your perception of time got fucked.
Yeah.
Dude.
I was like, I'm not 3 days away from my house, so how can this be 3 days?
What? No, you were laying there. So I had to drive your car, and you're just like, this is the longest ride home of my life. Right? And then you said, why do you like this shit, man? You were talking in slow motion.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny, man. I just remember sitting there telling myself, okay, if I've been in this car for 3 days, how am I only next to H Mart? And H Mart is not that far from my house, so it can't be 3 days. It has to be only maybe 3 hours. I was like, wait, it's not even 3 hours. You keep having these inner like monologues.
Yes, that's what weed is, dude. It's this. You're talking to yourself, man.
Yeah, and it feels like I'm talking to myself for hours, but it's only been a few seconds.
Oh yeah, it wasn't that far from to your house, but I remember just being like, David, don't worry.
Thank God.
You might think you're gonna freak out. I was like, nobody has ever died from THC.
Well, thank God you were there, because I was internally like I was freaking out.
Yeah.
But I think once I made the connection, because I took the tincture, I understood why I was like this. But before, I couldn't piece it together.
Right.
And so because I couldn't piece it together, I was dying on the inside. I'm like, I'm fucking dead. Like, I'm dead. Like, God's gonna take me away soon. But I remember when I got to the house, I was just like, hey, don't tell Mary.
Yeah. You're like coincidentally, Mario came on the same time we pulled up, and you're like, hey man, don't tell Mario. I'm like, all right, but you get out and you're like waddling like a penguin to your front door. And as soon as we get in, you go, 자기, I'm hi. She's like, what? And I'm gonna be like, I didn't give it to him. I didn't do this.
It was funny. I also kind of remember going in and like I had my back turned to her.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at you and I kind of smiled with a little shh.
Yeah. But you just turn around and it's like, Shaggy, I'm high. You went straight to the couch like you should have. And you just, last thing I know, you just passed out. Your dog was jumping on you. You're just like,
dude, like I kind of laying on the couch. I remember just going in and out, right? Because time was, I couldn't grasp time. I just didn't know where I was at, what time it was, what was happening. But Mariel told me we got back home like maybe around 5:30, 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Well, I woke up around like 11 or 12. And PM.
Okay.
And then when I got up, I think I got out of bed at like around 1 a.m. and I was hungry. Yo, that munchie shit is real. Yeah. I woke up, I made like 2 bags of ramyun. I cracked like 2 eggs. I ate that shit. I grabbed a fistful of M&Ms. I shoved it in my mouth.
Wow.
I went to bed. I knocked out. So basically from 5 to about like 1, and then from 1 to 2, I was just eating food. Then from 2 all the way till 11, I fell asleep.
Dang.
Dude, I knocked out for like, I don't know, how many hours is that? It's like a ridiculous amount of time.
Best sleep though?
So check this out. The day after, people were hitting me up. They're like, hey, you want to play ball? They put the hoops back up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, let's go play ball. I'm still high.
Shut up.
And I didn't know I was still high until we're on the court and we're playing ball. And then I'm telling Nick the story about me being high, but I told him like 3 times the same story. Because I don't know where the fuck I am. And so I don't feel high, but then my behaviors are sluggish still. Right. So we're playing ball. This fool passes me the ball. I grab it. And then I just start looking into the sky.
Wait,
he passes me the ball, and I just stare off at the sky. Just so fucking high still, dude.
Fucking cartoon, dude.
Yeah. Like I've never been high this long in my life, dude. So
what was in that tincture? So what? Okay, well, explain what this tincture is. What is this?
So it's a CBD company that sponsors me, right? And I've used this tincture before, and I love this company. It's called CBD Farmhouse. It is the best shit ever, right? Especially because when I get anxious or I need to fall asleep. Like last night, I couldn't fall asleep. I took their CBD gummy with a little bit of melatonin.
Right. Knocked
me the fuck out, and I woke up today at 7 feeling great. But this time I didn't have the gummies. I ran out, but I did have their tincture. I think what I also did is I took too much of the dropper.
Right.
And I just didn't know. I was like, oh, I'll take a full drop. What? But the drop that I normally take is just regular CBD. This is their Delta 8 CBD.
Right.
And it's different. It's a different formula. I didn't know this, and I just took a fat dropper. And what I remember happening was I took a dropper and I think I thought that it was only like a halfway through. So I was like, oh, just take another half or another full dropper. So I think I took 2 full droppers. Dude. And I drank 3 glasses of tequila.
When's the last time you've ever smoked weed or had THC?
The last time I had it was when I first started doing Send Foods, and it was when I went to Knott's Berry Farm. And so I couldn't go to sleep. So my buddy Roger, he used to own, or I think he still does own, a bunch of weed farm shit.
Yeah.
So I've never had an edible before.
Yeah.
I actually never smoked weed.
Yeah.
Because I just never had an inclination to do it. But me, I suffered from insomnia. Turns out it was just because I just never went out in the sun. It was a very quick fix. So he decided to give me a brownie. Here's the problem with brownies. You don't know where it's concentrated.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you tell somebody to take a brownie, like an edible, and you tell them just take a corner, you have to tell me what a corner means.
Yeah.
Right? So when I took a corner, that means I ate a quarter of it.
Yeah.
What he meant was just a nibble of the corner. I chomped a whole 1/4 of it.
Dude, you like measured it in equal parts.
Yeah.
2/4.
And so I took a 1/4 of the fucking brownie.
Dude.
And first of all, it wasn't that great of a fucking sleep. Like it was not great. But I woke up the next day. I had to shoot the Send Foods episode with Tim at Knott's Berry Farm. I was high as fuck. And so I remember getting out of bed and thinking to myself, I'm still high. But I was so fucking high. My last townhouse, there was 3 flights. I had to hold the rails, and I was going down into my Uber.
Must go to work.
Yeah, I was like, I have to make it to work. So I'm going down. I get into the Uber, and the guy is trying to chop it up with me, just telling me stories, and gosh. I'm blasted. And I look at him, I go, hey, I'm fucking high, man. The dude goes, all right, bro, I got you. He just like turns on some music and he just stays quiet. Yeah. Drives me off. And then that's the first time I had cottonmouth.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what cottonmouth was, and now I know. It feels like a literal cotton ball is in your mouth and you can't get rid of it.
It's just a desert in your mouth.
Yeah. No matter how much water you drink, it doesn't fucking matter.
There is a specific mouthwash for cottonmouth, actually.
Oh, really?
It's always fucking sold out, too.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah, you can get it at CVS. I forget what it's called, but it's like
what is bottle. That shit?
I don't know. It's just a side effect of marijuana, like just dehydrating you, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember I just kept drinking water, and I'm like, I can't hydrate myself.
Nope, it's literally what hell might be like.
Yeah, and it's like you're drinking water, and you never feel satiated. So,
but at least you stay hydrated.
Yeah. And so I'm waiting there, and then we're at Knott's Berry Farm. I tell Tim, like, listen, bro, I'm fucking high. This is the first time I ever did weed. And I just need a couple of minutes. Then 30 minutes pass. And then literally it felt like somebody turned on a light switch and I was okay.
Okay.
So there was no gradual I'm feeling a little better. It just went click and then my high was gone.
Right.
And it felt like there was a demon on me and somebody just did an exorcism and it left me.
There's something about like edibles where when you ingest it, like the high shoots up and then the spike stays constant. Right. But if you have also I think your tincture reacted the same way because that shit lasted a long fucking time.
It lasted almost 2 fucking days.
Yeah, and then it like slowly drops down on you.
I just remember the sky was so beautiful. You just kind of.
And then you had the best ramen of your life.
Yeah.
And you're like, these M&Ms are the best fucking M&Ms ever.
It's weird because when I was grabbing the M&Ms too, it felt like I was in like this weird. I was definitely, the time wasn't slow anymore. Yeah. But I kind of felt like in a weird hazy state. I just remember grabbing that M&M and I'm like, fuck, these M&Ms are amazing. I shoved this grip full of M&Ms and threw it in my mouth and I just started eating it. I'm laying down in bed chewing M&Ms.
Man, you need a proper like scheduled like safe place where like if you ever want to do it again and actually like listen to some music and then eat some food and like really enjoy what it's about.
Well, I heard people were telling me that the way edibles hit is different from when you smoke.
Right, it is.
Right, edibles are way more intense.
Yeah.
And the only time I've ever done weed twice was through 2 edibles accidentally, like ingesting it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, dude.
Hey, if that's the route, maybe you might just keep it with like someone who's a chef and like cooks like cannabis ingredients.
I will never do weed ever again.
You just get into bad situations.
I mean, it's very weird when you feel like you died and then you just gave up. I just was like, yeah, gee, just take me now.
My friend gave me this gravity bong, which fucked me up. And there was the same point where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And so I just sat at the edge of my couch like, I should write a letter to my sister, my brother. I can call my mom. And then I was looking at my friend like, you should get ready to call the ambulance so they can take me to the hospital. And, and I was just thinking about this is it. Yeah, like I'm not scared of death.
What is that? Like, what is this feeling where you just give up and you go?
I have no idea. It could be in this existential out of body kind of experience with getting too fucking high. But I don't think there's a whole lot of study on it. But a lot of people, when they smoke weed, you get introspective. Yeah, and it helps a lot of people. It helped me in that way too.
I feel like you're very good with weed. Like my introspection is stupid. Like contemplating whether 3 days, 3 hours, or 3 minutes passed for which felt like an eternity is fucking dumb. It felt like like if you have a slinky and then you kind of start the slinky and it just gradually goes, and at the end it goes snaps really fast.
That's it.
That's what it felt like.
Right, yeah, and that's what you were doing. You were like, you start to slump, and then you'd wake, and then you'd slump, and you'd wake. Like, you weren't having fun.
That is fucking hilarious, dude. I just sounded so funny. I'm just telling myself, you better listen to Ed's story right now. He's pouring out his heart to you. Don't you stop listening. And then I realized, I'm like, wait, I'm high. This is why I can't pay attention. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It was one of the worst experiences of my fucking life. Thank God you were there, man.
Well, I guess we can finish off where we were going to leave off. Like, we were going to have this entire conversation about this event.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to fill me in on it.
Okay.
Because
So if you guys were following me on Instagram, you guys saw my live. And here's the thing. I'm not trying to bully this kid. Right? But at the same time, I'm trying to bully this kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys know, if you saw my Instagram live, and there's a good friend of mine named Gina. You guys know this. But she has had a lot of drama recently with a very specific TikToker. Right. And I have a TikTok. I don't really do much stuff with it, mainly because the content that I make, it's not allowed on TikTok. So like you curse or anything else, it gets taken down. Like I've literally put it up like 10 TikToks and only 3 or 4 of them are up there because they get taken down. So I've given up on that platform. But Gina was dating this kid, right? He's like 24 years old, maybe 25 now, right? So they met each other, and I think like Gina has like a little group of TikTokers that they all do TikTok together. Very, very sweet kids, very fun. They were kind of reminding me of myself when I first started doing YouTube. So they're a collective of friends that are having fun and they create content together. Really dope.
I think I've seen a couple like Yakuza Family or some shit.
Yeah, they do all that. They're having fun on this platform. It's actually pretty cool. So Gina ends up dating one of these guys, and they were going out for a while and they broke up. So at that event that we had, so there's this app called Taco, David Choi's new app, and basically it's a form of social media that's kind of made for creators where you can make money off of it. So a lot of these social media platforms that are created, these platforms aren't created in mind of the creator first. But Taco is the opposite. It's creator made, so creator based first. Right. So this is why you see a lot of TikTokers who have 2 million followers and they make $400 a month.
Oh, damn. Damn.
So I had a neighbor in the last place that I lived. Her kid actually is a huge TikToker. Handsome boy, half Japanese, half black, cute as shit. And this dude does like TikTok dances, but he has like 2 million followers.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, how many followers does he have? And she was like, oh, he has 2 million. I was like, wow, you must be really proud. She goes, I would be proud if he wasn't broke. And I'm like, what do you mean? How is he broke? She goes, yeah, I mean, I think he'll start selling merch and merchandise and stuff like that. But from the platform makes him like $400 a month, $500 a month. I'm like, holy shit, you have that huge of a following and you make pennies? And so exactly. So Taco is the exact opposite of that. So the moment you become a creator on that app and ads run, you're getting a piece of it.
Yeah, that's fucking dope.
Yeah,
dude.
It's honestly how it should be, right?
Yeah.
So for example, when TikTok first opened up, TikTok was a billion-dollar company within like the first or second fiscal year. Creators saw $0. So that means all this content was created by creators. That company became a billion-dollar company while creators saw 0, and they basically built that platform.
Yeah.
And so now they're doing monetization on it. You can run some ads, but because it wasn't based as an app for creators, it's hard to integrate money into it later on.
Yeah.
You see that with YouTube. You see that with everything else. And so we were at this taco event and it was a drive-through night, right? So they invited a bunch of influencers. We're friends of David. He invited us there to just have some food, hang out.
I went with Clara and
Clara.
Saw you.
Yeah, we saw each other, right?
But I didn't know what happened after this.
Yeah, so I'm over here. I'm talking to the people at Panda Express, right? Shout outs to them. I fucking love you, Panda Express.
We love Panda.
And so, I'm chopping it up with them. 2 sweet, sweet ladies. We're having a good time. And then I see Gina off in the distance. I've known Gina now for 10 years. I know when she looks pissed. And so she's walking up to me and I see this angry little fucking Vietnamese girl just coming up to me and she hugs me super tight and she's gripping me really close. And it's because she's trying to talk to me. She goes, my ex-boyfriend is here. He knew I was going to be here. He parked in front of my car and he has another girl inside. And we just broke up 2 weeks ago. So he's doing this weird little like power play thing. Like, like young douchebags do. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. And I'm kind of joking around. I was like, oh, what are we going to do? We going to jump him or something? As a joke, whatever, right? The night continues to go on, and Gina and her TikTok buddies, they're all a part of the same group. So they notice this dude and like, yo, what kind of an asshole move is this? Because they all know him too. It's like, why would he do that? Yeah. So later on that day, Gina texts me back. She goes, oh, turns out, hey, I actually have chlamydia. So this dude had chlamydia and he gave it to her. Right. So this is already pretty bad. Right. And I'm seeing this on her TikTok. She's letting this whole story be known on TikTok.
Yeah.
So mind you, he gives her chlamydia, whatever. He has chlamydia. He has to get checked too. All whatever, right?
I saw that it was like 9-part video. She just fucking burned the walls down.
Dude, flame this kid, right? So this dude,
the Google Docs, the receipts,
is apparently he's like a player, which was so weird because as I'm reading this stuff here, I'm like, it's also a representation of some of these girls. It's like, yo, do you fell for this bullshit? Because I showed that Google Drive to some of my other homegirls, right? And they're like, this guy has zero game. And they're like, it's almost like comical, right? Like, I'm not like that's. I mean, whatever. They might have gotten you from. I don't know. You guys got bedazzled by his 2 million TikTok followers and his $300 in his bank account. But this guy knowingly has chlamydia, right? And so because Gina assumed that he had chlamydia because he cheated on her with somebody else, so it maybe just been him and another girl. But there are multiple women who caught chlamydia from him, and the first girl that he gave chlamydia to told him that, yo, we have chlamydia. Yeah. And he still chose to hook up with Gina after unprotected, and he hooked up with multiple girls knowing that he had chlamydia.
Holy shit, dude.
Which in California is like you can go to jail for that shit. You could press charges. This little kid's a fucking asshole, right?
What? Yo, I thought like he's technically, is that Gen Z?
He's Gen Z, yeah, he's Gen Z.
I thought they were the most like sexually educated.
Yeah.
Right?
They are not. Dude. No. And then after all, Gina flames him on the whole on her TikTok, kind of goes through this whole story, shows the Google Drive and docs about him trying to manipulate all these fucking women. He gives all these women chlamydia. He puts out an apology talking about how he righted his wrongs only 4 hours after she posted her thing. I cracked the fuck up. I was like, bro, you don't even know how to apologize. He goes, I finally figured out what I've done wrong. In 4 hours? Dude. Like, bro, how did you do it in 4 fucking hours?
This is about me and me and me, my grandfather and me.
When I read his apology, it was I've never read something so self-absorbed in my life. And
it sounded like a mansplained apology.
Exactly. It was so fucking funny.
It's like, I know what a virtuous man is, and this is what good is, and this is and and I didn't meet that standard or whatever. It's like, dude, you're like
this kid he legit needs like psychological help because he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
I mean, for him, he actually did this whole video where he was doing like an interview, which is so funny. Like you're a TikToker and you think that you're important enough to fucking do interviews about life. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, kid? But he was kind of going on this diatribe about how men are weak. Weak men only use online dating tools. As he has an online dating profile and he's only talking to women through TikTok and Instagram. It's like, that's the same thing, you fucking fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, here's how hilarious that is. This is the pure example of a sociopath.
Yeah.
Like, they literally don't know what the fuck they're saying. They're talking about themselves. He has this mirror that he's talking to, and he doesn't even recognize it.
Seeing right through it.
He sees right through it, and it's so fucking hilarious. I mean, he's a young kid, right? But the reason why I don't think this kid can change is because he actually needs like clinical help. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't get the clinical help, it's impossible for him to change.
He's a projectionist.
Exactly.
Right? Like, he sees the shit in him, but he's gonna flip it because he has a righteousness to what he does, but everyone else is a piece of shit. And that's like some of the most childish adolescent ways of looking at life.
You want to hear how much this fool is a fucking predator? So this dude, we found out that this kid at the taco night, right?
Yeah.
Because he's so ballin', he drives like this 2004 Camry. This white 2000. The girl that he tells to come in that car, or it was like somebody else that he was trying to get to come with. He told her like, "Hey, this drive-in movie night is a formal event, and you have to match what the color of my car is, my 2004 white Camry," and says you have to wear a dress too.
What?
This is what he tells his date. This fucking rapist, basically what he's trying to do is to get her to wear a dress so he can go up her skirt. That's the only reason why you would do something like that. Straight up. This is not facts, but you have to understand how weird somebody is to tell a girl like, hey, you have to match the color of my car when we go to this formal event, a drive-in movie, and wear a dress.
What is wrong with this guy?
This guy is a fucking sociopath. He's fucking nuts.
Yeah, this guy needs to get...
This podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. My friends, if you are concerned about your mental health or you just need somebody to talk to sort things out in your head, then you have to try BetterHelp. See, I have been using BetterHelp for, man, it's been like a couple of years now. During the time when I was trying to find therapy or counseling, going in person was kind of hard. It kind of felt a little weird, and BetterHelp kind of gave me an option where I could do it from the comfort of my home, and allowed me to be more comfortable, which allowed me to open up. Now, I know a lot of people out there don't talk too much about mental health, and if they do, it doesn't seem like they apply it in their lives. Well, try out BetterHelp. It's been something that I use on a consistent basis, and the great thing about that is like if you don't like your first counselor, you could switch it out with somebody else, and it just makes the user experience so easy for you. The cool thing about BetterHelp too is actually a lot more affordable than traditional off-site counseling, and on top of that, they do have financial aid stuff available for people out there who might be worried about the cost. So there really isn't a reason for you not to try this out. But this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Genius Brain listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/genius. Once again, that's betterhelp.com/genius. So please remember, give it a try. You won't regret it, and there's nothing to lose. If you want somebody to talk to, you have things to sort out, or you just need something for that mental clarity, try BetterHelp. Once again, that's betterhelp.com/genius.
I don't know. It sounds like someone who doesn't actually have any real mentorship, or hyung, possibly. I mean, what kind of hyung would see this little check-in just be like, you can exist?
Dude, he goes to church too.
Oh, we're going there.
Ed, he goes to church.
Oh, typical.
He's the church hyung.
Oh,
the predator church hyung.
The fucking Nopa Opa.
Yeah. I'm gonna pray for your heart and your pussy, please.
Yeah.
He's one of those motherfuckers, because a lot of like church members from his group were messaging on like open comments like, yo, I know this guy from church. He's a fucking creep.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this young man is a huge fucking trash bag. Here's the fucking topper, right? This is the craziest shit. Gina, I went on live with Gina, and he was talking about his military service, right?
Okay.
And let me tell you something. I have never heard of such a ridiculous lie in my life. Like, he's lying about his military service. So he walks around telling people that he goes, so this is the funniest shit, dude. When people are terrible liars, like when they're like habitual liars and they're sociopaths, they don't see a cap to their lie. And so it becomes so ridiculous. It's highly apparent it's fucking stupid. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But people kind of get lost in the sauce, so they allow them to go ahead and tell this story. So Gina tells this fucking Gina tells this fucking funny story where he was telling this girl that, you know, he goes, "Oh, I'm in the Navy." And then she starts opening up to him about in her past she had like people who like sexually assaulted her, and then so he takes that information and he fabricates a lie to go on top of what she's saying, and he goes, "You know what I did in the Navy? I was positioned to hunt down rapists and..." What? I'm like, bro, there is no position in the Navy where you're this fucking serial rapist hunter.
Fucking rogue maverick SEAL, like fucking special forces. Like, what?
He's a special ops Navy rapist hunter. So he just starts fabricating these fucking lies.
25 years old. All right, bro.
Do you know what I'm like? It's fucking hilarious. And listen, I have friends in the fucking Navy, right? Yeah. They said they don't do much. Yeah. This is not me shitting on that military. I'm talking about my friends in the Navy say it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, your brother was in the Navy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, my brother tells to me too. He just hates the military types who glorify themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sees that a lot where they lift themselves up, like, and like call themselves special. And like, I see my brother with the way he explains it. Like, he has PTSD, but he doesn't. He's just like the stern Korean style where he's just like.
Well, here's the thing too.
Right?
I don't know anybody in the military that has seen or done shit that likes talking about it that openly to everybody they fucking know.
On their TikTok?
On their TikTok. Yeah. So I have a friend too. It's do you know Victor Kim? So Victor Kim, his brother David was in the Marines.
Right.
And he was special ops in the Marines. He did overseas bodyguard stuff and everything else. And I remember asking him about what he's seen out there. And this was during the time the Iraq war was happening, right? He was just like, you don't ask people in the military that because it's kind of like traumatized. He was very kind to me when he was like, but you know, it's kind of insensitive. I'm like, oh shit, I never did it again. Because I didn't think that. I'm like, oh, this might be some cool stories that he wants to share. But the things that he's done and he's seen, it's not something that he's really comfortable talking about. And there's some people who are, but they're not going to say it on a public platform. They're not going to really do that. Yeah. And so, but this kid's over here telling people, I'm a rapist hunter on a boat, on a submarine.
I go rogue.
Yeah.
No, same. We had a young at our church, and one of my friends was doing, like, he counts the offering. He's like, yo, this guy's tithing almost like a stack a week, right?
Yeah.
And he is special forces or whatever. And so we're at Applebee's. We're like, yo, like, what's going on out there? And he's just like, you just need to know that there's bad guys and there's good guys. And he wouldn't say anything else. That's it. And he would not tell us.
He's probably tithing because of like, he has to do things that he doesn't want to do, and it's like he feels I have to do this.
Yeah, dude. And so it's ridiculous to see this kind of shit. Like, I don't know how long he served, but it's just like, who does that?
Dude, well, that's what I'm saying. Here's the funny thing too. So one of those kids, his name is Saint, right?
Yeah.
And so they told me that they confronted him after, because Saint is actually he's in the Marines.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he started asking him questions, like qualifying questions that anybody who has applied to be in the military should know these questions. It's that basic. And he goes, I don't remember. I don't know.
You know, all that combat just made me forget. Had to look all those rapists in the eye. Who knew about formalities?
That was the Dementors. They were everywhere.
To go to the upside down.
I couldn't get my spell off right. Havana Kedavra, it wasn't working. This guy is just being fucking stupid. Like, this guy is hilarious. Like, I can't help but laugh at this person, dude, because of how ridiculous he is. Let me tell you, this story gets worse. So,
down the rabbit hole.
He sees his reputation going down the rabbit hole, right? Yeah. It's fucking terrible. You fucking knowingly gave people chlamydia. You lied about you're lying about your military service. Whether how long you've been in the military or not, you might have been, whatever. Cool. Well, at this point, you got to show pictures of you being in the Navy. You know, or how long you've been in the Navy. Because if you went to the Navy and he was like, I served 6 months, and people are like, 6 months? What
6 months? Man, that's special. You just like you worked out, man. You had basic training, got a rocking body, and came out, dude.
This fool went to the Navy for 6 months. They're like, you've done all you can.
Yeah, what the fuck?
You go. So, you know, everybody in the comments are like questioning his military. So there's people who have been in the military.
Yeah.
So he knows that he's in a lot of deep shit. He's a habitual liar. He's a sociopath. He, you know, gave people a sexually transmitted disease on purpose, knowingly. Yeah. And so now he puts up this apology, and then he does his TikTok apology. Bro, I didn't know that I could laugh even harder than from his written note apology. His TikTok apology was hilarious. It was like one of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. He sets up a camera away from him at a distance. He slumps down. He's wearing a hoodie, and he kind of squints like he's about to fart. He goes, oh, I fucked up. Bro, I showed my buddy Nick and Pat that video. They burst out laughing immediately. Dude. They're like, is this a parody or is this the actual guy? It looked like a parody.
Are you on Saved by the Bell? Are you on fucking Full House? Like, oh, I'm sorry, mister. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And it goes into the second clip. This is how you know he should have written this down. If you are an aspiring actor, young man, you should have written down this apology and stuck to it, because this was terrible. I shit you not, if you look at that video, hopefully it's still up. He goes, I just want to apologize to all the Africans and Indians. I'm like, excuse me? What do you mean? He goes, I understand what you guys have been going through now, so I want to apologize to all the African Indians. What? I can't make this shit up. You can go watch the video yourself. But it's like, but if you are white and I give you chlamydia, you deserve it. Like, no, I'm kidding.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah. This kid is the worst. He's fucking terrible. This gets even worse. So he has like his little group of like Twitch followers, right?
Okay.
these people on his Twitch following who are supposed to be his hardcore fans, not all of them are his hardcore fans. They're just there so they could hear more shit that he's going to say. So he has like this small little group. He tells these Twitch followers like, hey, I'm just going to apologize because this stuff is going to blow over anyways. Like, I'm pretty sure Gina's the one that gave me chlamydia. So I'm just going to wait for this to die out and I'm going to come back. So he's not even apologetic.
This fucking fool thought that, oh, this is my club.
My closest friends.
Yeah. Not knowing that it was a public Twitch thing.
And they came back and they started telling everybody else like, hey, guess what? He's lying. He never apologized. He's just doing this so he could die over so he can go back to his career. This is how terrible he is. A sociopath. This kid is nuts.
Oh, man. I think perhaps in our Han, way of getting back is just to make sure he doesn't try to come back.
How can you be poor and that cocky?
Yeah.
Like, this kid is broke. It's like, you're a broke fucking kid.
You might make more money as a bartender off tips, man.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like your social currency is a representation of how fucking cool you are. Like, even in his apology video, it looks like a dorm room.
Yeah.
Like, you're 25. Weren't you in the military? You didn't make any money off of that?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's like, how could you be that cocky? Like, his car was so busted. I'm like, bro, I legit saw his car and I thought that he was going to break the bottom off and start going off on a yabba dabba doo good old time, dude.
Like, hey, I used to drive that 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
You had that car, right?
Yeah, I had that car. And guess what? I was poor as shit and I didn't fucking act like I had a shit ton of money and I was dope. I was like, no, I'm kind of broke and I understand this.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of people who had Camrys. I had that car. I had that fucking car. So I know what's up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, for him to stand, like, as a 25-year-old kid, you are nothing. You literally were just born yesterday, right? You're not that much younger than I am, but at the same time, when I was that age, I didn't act like I knew everything. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could argue that the fame coming at him validated so much of the delusion in his head.
Young ladies out there, if you ever fuck somebody because they were a TikTok star, you are trash. If that's all it takes to get in your pants, have some fucking self-respect. Like, I understand a little bit if he's a TikTok dude, he makes good money, he could take you on trips or whatever. He's smart, intelligent, has something going on.
Right.
But the man makes trashy fucking TikTok comedy videos and you're like, my pussy's wet.
Damn. What's the lesson here for, like, let's say influencers and people dealing with their integrity here? This motherfucker just, I mean, you gotta say maybe a lot of people who listen in might see themselves in this guy. Like, oh shit, I lie a lot to get by.
Yeah.
Right? Or a lot of people here's the thing. These people don't know that they keep getting away with lying and it just like validates their thought process, their delusions, their feelings, and like their ego, and they get caught up in their own lie. The same way, like, have you seen the Ric Flair documentary, the 30
No,
for 30?
I haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Basically, it's a deep dive into his like psyche and who he is. And now as an old man, he's almost 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not Ric Flair from when he was 20 years old trying to get into wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? This Ric Flair, like, is his character, right? His kayfabe for wrestling. And they said over time, that's who just he became. So when they keep trying to make him, like, retire or something, he cannot not be Ric Flair anymore.
That's hilarious.
And you're seeing it with these young influencers. Those numbers, like 100,000, is a lot of fucking followers.
Yeah, that's
for
a lot of
some
people.
Kid,
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's a big fucking audience. And it gets to these people. Like, I see it in a lot of young kids. Like, they lose who they are by their social presence. And their identity is stuck with their selfies.
Yeah.
And their social presence.
And
It's wild.
And it's, that's such a good point because how do you not do this then, for kids? Like, how do you use this app, right? Whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter, how do you use it without it letting it take over your life, right? Because we see this a lot, right? There was right now the hottest thing to do is be a social justice warrior.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not a social justice warrior, you're just not cool. Like we're looking, and I say this, I say this repetitiously because I truly do believe it. There are too many people who are looking for a pat on the back. And I even see this with personal colleagues of mine where I have to unfollow their shit because I know, like, because of all the Asian hate stuff, like they're influencers and they're doing Asian hate things right now. They were never saying this before. And I know these people, they're not doing this because they care. They're doing it because they know that, I have to say this because I'm an Asian influencer and I know it's going to get me views. And it's just like, this is what it is now. Like you, and also too, like people are also thinking like, you don't know any of these people at all on the social platforms as much as, I mean, I guess like for me, because you guys listen to this podcast and I'm pretty open and honest, when you meet me in person, I'm pretty much the same guy that you see on this camera.
Right.
Like maybe not the vlogs. The vlogs are aggrandized. It's performative, right? This is not performative at all. This is just us having a conversation. So you do get a general feel of who I am, right?
Yeah. You have nothing to hide. You are deadly honest.
So whether I'm right or wrong or whatever, like these are just thoughts, right? And then we could always have a conversation and discuss it further. So when I have like some of these kids who live in this YouTube social media world, I don't even know if they've even developed the time to be a real human being because they're so busy developing their fake persona, they aren't developing themselves first.
Exactly.
Right. It's easy to write things and say all this other shit, right? There was that, I think they took that post down, or I think their channel got taken down. It was that person that was trying to slander me over
they called you a hypocrite. They did a fucking side-by-side. We don't have to say who they are, but we know.
Yeah, but I think that thing got taken down.
Good.
Because everybody was calling them out. They're like, no, this is a bit of a stretch, right? Yeah. Because they didn't know that this young lady was calling Black Americans savages, low-class human beings, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know that, but they went out of their way because they wanted to give brownie points. And obviously they're clearly friends or something and they follow each other because I could tell by their interactions. I saw it once. I'm like, this is dumb. I'm not going to even respond to this because it's so stupid and everybody's doing it for me.
You did the bigger man thing and you even had to tell your followers, hey, don't attack her. Don't attack her. Like, you shouldn't have to do that. Guess what this bitch did? Send her fucking incel fans at me. Right?
Yeah.
You have exponentially larger scale of followers on social media, and you told them don't attack her.
Yeah.
Right? Because she has much smaller.
Yeah.
But she has an even bigger exponential scale of followers than I do, and she sicked her fucking incel dogs at me.
Her incel dogs too, they're also inherently racist.
Yes.
Like, they hate Black Americans.
Yes, they kept trying to convince me to start blaming Black people for these Asian attacks.
Yeah, it's like
you're not going to win them.
Racist, and she's incredibly racist herself.
Yes.
Like, it's not even like racist in the sense of like, oh, she has like slightly microaggressions. I'm telling you, she legit said that Black Americans are savages. And the reason why they are that way is because they're dumb and they can't get themselves out of the situation. She deleted those comments when she responded back. I wish I would have screen capped it. I shit you not, I'm not making this up.
We've seen it.
I've seen it. Yeah. They're just gone now. She deleted.
Sorry.
I seen it. I seen it. I swear to God. And I accepted it. I was like, yeah, you seen it. Yeah, we both seen it. Yeah, we seen that shit, right? And, when somebody goes out of the way and they say, oh, the reason why you are is because you're dumb and you're a savage, I think that's racist.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fucking apparent. And somehow this other Asian American who runs this channel is saying that I'm a hypocrite because I'm standing up for Asian Americans. It's like, no, I am standing up for Asian Americans, but I don't have to step on the necks of somebody else to show that we're going through some other shit too.
You know what's upsetting to me about that as an editor? Is that if you're an editor, you need to have foresight of what you're creating and what this is going to do when you put it out there.
Yeah.
This motherfucker had a time to watch 2 of these videos. All of them. And he screen capped it so that you can record it and put it into an editing system so you can play. And he heard what you fucking said, yet still manipulated it.
And deleted it out and took it out.
You fucking bitch.
Yeah.
You mishandle the fucking privilege of what it means to be a film editor, you motherfucker. I hate you for that. For your racist agenda, you motherfucker.
Yeah, they
Don't
specifically
do that.
took out the reason why she was being attacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so funny too. Like like people were telling me that because people are DMing me, and this is personal friends. They're like, she's trying to spin this narrative that I'm telling other people to attack her. It's like, young lady, I could give a fucking queef about you. Like, bitch, if you died tomorrow, I would not know. Like, legit, if you fucking died tomorrow, I would not know. I wouldn't shed a tear. If you apologize to me, I still wouldn't care because I don't care about you.
She came into my comment sections on my shit to question my masculinity and me being not being a man or whatever, while saying BLM is a terrorist organization, and saying, how dare you call me a racist? BLM is a terrorist organization. That's slander. Like, you just proved yourself wrong, bro, in the same sentence.
This is what I'm saying. Like, people have to leave her alone because she's dumb.
She's so stupid.
Like,
because she's like, I should have the balls to tag her in a post, and your fat friend David, you wouldn't say this if you wasn't friends with him. I'm like, why don't you tag David?
Yeah, why don't you
if you're
tag
gonna
me
talk
then,
shit about him?
Well, because she can.
And I got pissed that she called you fat and your looks and shit, right? Because hey, I was fat too.
Yeah.
And you know what, bitch? I lost 100 fucking pounds and my ass is still fucking fatter than yours.
Well, that's the funny thing is too, is like, bitch, you ain't even cute. Like, who the fuck are you talking about?
There's nothing about you that's interesting behind yourself.
You look like you're 20 and you're 45 at the same time. Like, what the fuck? You look like an ajima that makes kimchi for a living. Like,
why was I gonna say the same thing?
Like, she looks like an ajima that makes kimchi for a living, and she's over here like trying to be like, I'm a hot model. Bitch, relax, right? Yeah. And listen, I'm not trying to berate you on your looks. I'm only doing that because you're coming at other people based on their looks. So here's the thing, like I just find it hilarious, right? That people, you can't rationalize with somebody who is stupid, right? I don't mean this to insult her. I'm saying it as a fact. She is actually dumb.
You have to pity them.
That's pity them. There's nothing else you can do.
Right?
Yeah, it's really, really fucking sad. And the thing is, a dumb person will look at somebody who has reason and look at them like they're stupid. So it's cyclical. There's nothing that you can do. So that's what I'm saying. You guys got to just leave her alone.
Well, I think there's a slight nuance there, though.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with not knowing something, right? And so someone call you stupid.
Of course.
Then in essence, therefore I say there's not anything inherently wrong with being stupid. It just means you don't know because you have the capacity to know, right? And learn later. There's something wrong when you're fucking told the objective truth and you deny it.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes you insane.
Yeah. It's to be stupid on purpose, that's the problem.
Listen,
right?
I can go into my DMs and go ahead and screen cap everybody who's had a personal interaction with her to talk about how fucking trashy she is.
Yeah.
Like, as a human being. Like, I have stories in DMs for days about people who have met her, about the things she's done just to get photos from somebody. There are so many disgusting stories I know about her, but let's not even get into that. Hearing those stories made me realize she is not a person who is sane. Yeah. So if she's willing to do certain things like that for photos, I think that I should leave her alone, and there's no point to have this conversation, right? And the people who are backing her up are fucking dweeby, ugly, greasy looking fucking Asian dudes that think they want to fuck this 40-year-old kimchi making lady, dude. So I'm like,
calling me a bitch and like questioning my
Of course they'll call. They would never do anything to you in person.
So I'm
dude.
not an influencer, so I'm like dealing with this hate mail in a different
I'll tell you this, I've walked around loud as fuck. I'm somebody that's very noticeable.
Yeah.
Not a single person has ever come up to me and said, hey, you're a little bitch, let's throw down. Because you wouldn't do it.
Okay, yeah.
Nobody would do it, right? The only reason why somebody would do that to me is if I personally attack them, right?
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no way that somebody goes out of the way, types something up and says, let's meet up and let's fucking throw down. Because you're not going to do that. I'm not going to show it with fists either, fool. I'm going to come out with a fucking bat and break your fucking kneecaps. So it's like, you and I grew up very differently. That's the thing. We also grew up in a very weird age, right? Like, we didn't have this digital net to go ahead.
It was like, if you said some shit on AIM, like, we're going to meet behind the market. And
let's meet at the park. Let's fucking throw down and let's see what happens. Whether you're a geek, nerd, or whatever, there's a certain amount of honor and pride that people have. But nowadays, that thing doesn't exist,
it just
right?
flies now. It just fucking flies.
Yeah, they just say whatever the fuck that they want. And, these people, too, probably live in Los Angeles. It's like, you'll see me. You could do something if you want,
Right.
I won't do anything back to you. I'd probably call the cops, you know?
There was a lot of processing I had to do just to be like, okay, this is false. He's saying false things. He's false things. And none of these motherfuckers know me. And then I looked through their profile, like they have massive Pokemon card collections.
Exactly.
It's massive like Xbox collections of games.
And they were probably bullied too, you know? So like I understand, like I kind of feel for them a little bit, and they're misdirecting a lot of their anger, and they're championing this fucking 40-year-old lady to be their fucking heroine, you know? And
I think a few of them though actually looked through my profile and saw that I used to look like them. And I was like,
I have hope.
Yeah. Just be like, hey, I think they figured, hey, I'm actually a kind of cool guy, you know?
Well, they get caught up in their emotions, and once again,
it's because they're worshiping her. Dude.
Yeah,
of course, someone's attacking our queen.
I have to save her. I have to protect her, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they're trying to make sure that she's okay and that she's fine, and that they can message her. This is what I said to this guy. I backed you up, and then they go off, and she goes, "Thank you, baby."
Thank you.
Heart. And then they look at the heart and they jack off to it, and they go, "You know what? One day she's gonna suck on my dick."
Yeah, it's gonna happen, bro. It's gonna happen.
So I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, you know. But like I said, I had to do this message because if people are attacking her, like there's no point. What are you gonna do to her? You're not gonna do shit to her. Let her be. She's gonna be like that for the rest of her life because she is actually dumb.
Yes.
Like when somebody
willfully.
Yeah, willfully. She's dumb.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like that other kid, that kid Reed, you know, the chlamydia boy. Like chlamydia boy, he might have an ability to change because he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
You know, she's in her 40s, so she doesn't have a lot to change. He's 25 years old, and so he has time. But because he's a sociopath and he doesn't see anything that he's doing wrong, even up until this point, that he goes out of his way to tell people, hey, I'm actually not sorry at all. I'm in the right. Just wait for me to come back. He doesn't have an ability to change, so he needs to burn. He does not deserve a platform. He doesn't deserve to make any money off of everybody else. And this is information that people should know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I've had a lot of thinking to do. Like, even my friends were like, "Are you all right?" Like, because of the hate I was getting. And like one friend was
nobody asked me.
Why don't anybody care about my head? To your Tyson.
So what about me? What about me? I'm over here. I haven't fought in 13 years, and you guys aren't caring about me.
We all believe David, you can handle your own in the DMs. You know,
you're just like your mom, man. Hey, don't worry about it. He's okay.
Yeah. No, we're good. But I just had to be like, you know, in these situations, it's like she's so close yet so far, right? It's like, what do we have in common? We both don't like this Asian hate. We both don't like our elderly being attacked. We're both semi-conservative, actually.
Yeah.
But what are you missing? What are you missing?
Yeah.
You know, that's what you got to think about.
It's been a very, very fucking weird time, man. Like having to see, and I haven't been, here's the hard part for me too, when I do these posts, right? I do these posts because it's something that I feel, there's something that I care about. I can put a funny spin on it. I don't know what it is, right? But I can talk, I can speak very well, right? Problem now is that everybody expects me to scream for them, you know, and they don't understand like the emotional toll that it has for me to constantly read and see and be emotionally invested to all these things that are happening. I'm not saying that I'm emotionally detached and I don't see them, but you guys want me to be this angry fireball 24/7.
Look at what you're used to then. Every Sunday, you wake up early morning to sing happy songs of freedom, right? When you go to church and then you hear inspiring messages, you know, and you're ready for your week. Something changed in your life where everyone's sending you shit and shit and shit. Here, get angry at this, get angry at this, get angry at this. And then all of a sudden, you got to start preparing for a angry Sunday.
And here's the thing too, and this is what I want people who are leaders out there who want to hold these press conferences and whatever, right? And they're asking me to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm glad to do it. However, no, I am not the person that you should be contacting about this. Yeah. There are elected officials who are Asian American. There are people who could actually make a real difference that you should be contacting. I know it's easy to come and talk to me because you feel like I'm the voice, right? Cool.
You know why? They're used to so many people being like, yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will take the call for my people.
Yeah. But for me, to be honest with you, there are so much things that I don't know. I should not be on a platform yet to go ahead and speak like that. I can only talk about my personal thoughts and how I feel about it. But I'm a comic, guys.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to expect people not to take everything seriously.
Yeah. Like I'm a comic. Like if it's hard sometimes because I think people now only expect me to be this political figure. It's like, me? I make dick and tit jokes. There are so many people out there that can do so much better. And also too, there are people who don't have my platform, who don't have a huge following that can speak better than I can too.
And have all the right information, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to find those people. You know, let me do what I do occasionally here and there, and I'm going to speak. I'm going to be at rallies. I'll do all that stuff. But when you want somebody to go ahead and describe all the, you know, the political issues, these cultural issues, there are so many other people that are better at this than me.
Yeah.
And you need to find those people who can speak. You just need to make sure that you give them the right platform.
Yeah, I think people got lost in the idea of influencers.
Yeah.
Because you'll see like fucking dietitians getting shit like, why aren't you talking about Asian hate? Like, dude, they talk about health and fitness. I don't know. You know, like, it's like, why aren't you using your platform? Why aren't you using your da-da-da? It's just like...
When I was on IG Live, there was a kid who asked, and it was a really good question. And I think from what I felt, I think he thought I was going to say something different. And so on the IG Live, he was asking me, how do I feel about influencers who choose not to say anything during these times? And I think I was going to say, like, they have a responsibility to speak up. Right. And what I said was, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Right? Because number one, I'm not their parent.
Yeah.
I don't control their platform. Also, too, some people just aren't good at speaking, right?
Yeah.
Some people deal with anxiety. Some people can't deal with that pressure to have people look at and kind of scrutinize everything that they're saying about a serious topic. So who am I to look at them and say, hey, why didn't you do this? Right. Are they comfortable doing this stuff? Are they used to having that much people come at them when they talk about very serious subjects?
Right.
They're not. There's this idea that young kids have because of this old ass saying that if you have any type of common sense, you would know that this does not ring true at all. It's saying something is better than saying nothing. That is not true at all. When you are fucking dumb, you shut the fuck up, all right? Because if you do believe that, right, then you must love the Nikki Park. You must love her because she said something, and it would have better for her to say nothing than anything at all.
It's just uncalled for.
Exactly.
You crossed the line.
You just have to be smarter about your stuff. It's just been such a weird, I understand though, because I see a lot of myself in them, you know, when I was like 26, 27, that was only like 5 years ago. Yeah. But I see a lot of myself doing that, you know, but they're growing up in a world right now where that is actually rewarded. It's rewarded now. You know, God, you're so good. You're so woke.
Yo, it's the new church. Right?
Yeah.
If no one's going to youth group, like, I think wokeness is the new theology. It's ever changing, it's evolving, and then there's pronouns and there's adjectives and there's or whatever. It's so much language to it. Dude, it's the new theology.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're now a part of a time, and we're at an age now where we're gonna have to learn how to adjust to what the youth brings on, right? Like somebody got upset at me, and this was like a few months back. And I had to check this person because I got upset at them back because I didn't understand what they were asking. And instead of taking a position to say, oh, he doesn't understand, let me explain, this person got mad at me. And I was like, hold on a second, don't get fucking mad at me. I'm asking. So for example, so they asked me, they're like, oh, they said, what are your pronouns? And I didn't know what that was, right? And I was like, what do you mean? Right? And they're like he, her, she, him. I was like, what? Like, because I never heard of this before. Know. I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was like,
that's fair.
In my mind, I was like, are you trying to diss me right now?
Yeah.
I was like, are you calling me a bitch? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what was going on. And they're like, oh, it's like, well, I was like, your pronoun, you know what that means. And it kind of gave me, I was like, hold on a second. And I looked at him, I was like, yo, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, right now, I could tell that you're upset, you know? But you have a position right now to tell me what the fuck you're saying. I was like, I don't know why you're asking me he, she. I was like, oh, because of and they explained it after. I was like, that's all you had to do. Yeah. So why the fuck are you going here like getting mad at me when I'm asking you a question? I'll call you whatever the fuck you want. I just don't know what the fuck you were saying.
It's the same analogy that I'd given before where it's like, yo, like you like my shirt. Like, don't you think my shirt is dope? But you're telling a blind guy.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's like, sorry, I literally don't see it. And then that guy goes, what? Why not? What the fuck? Why can't you? And it's just like, to a blind guy, you have to use a different language, a different tactic. You have to teach them. You have to describe it, your shirt to them, right? You have to break it down for them.
And here's the thing, the idea of these pronouns being like an unlimited amount of pronouns or whatever, whether I believe it or not or subscribe to it or not, it's a relatively new idea, which means there was a point where you didn't know either. You know what I mean? Like, so how fucking dare you come at me like that?
Yeah, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, you probably just found out 3 weeks ago, you fuck. So, you know?
And that's some fucking righteous fury, too.
Yeah.
It's like, right back at you, motherfucker. Like, don't get mad at me.
Yeah, it's like, you were just me a month ago, you fucking bitch. Like, why couldn't you have just explained that to me? Because, and people want to get into this long conversation about, oh, do you believe in, you know, there's more than a female in I don't care.
What difference does it make in my life?
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference in my fucking life. Like, I could tell you right now.
No, but you're supposed to make a difference in their lives, David. Don't you see?
It's like, okay, so
put on this weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, and they're trying to have like these deep conversations about like gender and biology. Like, there's a gender. I'm like, how about this? I don't fucking care.
It just makes them feel smarter than you.
Yeah. I was like, I don't care. They're like, well, you should call me a he, her, or he, him. I'm like, cool.
What's up, bro?
What's up?
You. What's up, you?
I was like, tell me whatever. Let's just move past this part, dude. Like, I don't fucking care. If this is something that's happening, like this is the trend that's going to happen in the next 10 years, I ain't going to fight it. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
If you want to come up and ask me what my pronouns are and I say he, call me a he. If you're just like, hey, listen, bro, I'm a monk seal.
Dude, yeah. So like somebody actually called me, an old friend of mine, like, hey, how's it going? I heard your podcast on David's. I just want to say all this shit up on me, right? It was like, and you just, you know, still exude all this toxic masculinity on the podcast. I'm like,
you have weird people.
I'm like, yeah, dude, why am I here? So we can talk like toxic masculine dudes freely.
But that's the thing too.
So we can express our minds and our confusions. We still don't know what we're talking. Like, what
it's a conversation.
It's a conversation. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
At least we're at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
But you know, people say that to you because they feel like if they say that to you, you're gonna crumble.
Yeah.
You know, that's why. You know, but the thing about that too, people like, well, I did what I did, you know, and I did what was righteous and I told this fool off. Actually, you're an asshole and all you had to do was have a conversation. Yeah. It didn't make you cool to go ahead and go on this long diatribe shitting on somebody because you felt that you were in the position to teach somebody something and chastise them. So now there is no conversation. You left a bad taste in my mouth.
Dude, and it was, since you put yourself out there on David's podcast, I'm going to put myself out there in my DMs. Make your own podcast and say this.
You say that shit. Yeah. Like when you want to talk to me as like on one-on-one, then we can have a conversation. Like here's a great example, right? I was on The Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub. Right.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah. And so they hit me up and they're like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? I was like, hey, let's do it. Like I love Brendan Schaub's podcast. Yeah. Right. And people were a little shocked because when he brought up the whole Asian American thing, and you know, I had a conversation with them. I was like, oh, he was like, is it really a hate crime? And I was trying to describe to him from my point of view of how it can also be a hate crime and also a sexual fetish, because the sexual fetishism has to do with how people view Asian women. And that's how he viewed Asian women, where he felt that because their bodies were owed to him, he got frustrated. So there's a little bit of both. It can be both, right? Yeah. I didn't yell at Brendan Schaub. I didn't go, hey man, how fucking dare you not know about this shit? Why would I do that? He asked a question.
No, I mean, kudos to you too, because I was actually listening to it at home with my roommate, and my roommate was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy, right? Yeah. And then when you just laid it out, it was beautiful, man. You fucking let him, like he was receptive to it, and you're just like, it's both.
Yeah, whether he believes it or not, we had a very decent conversation, and that's the point. People don't want to do that now. Why should I be mad at Brendan Schaub because he wants to have a conversation about something that maybe he doesn't know about, and maybe there's something that he's going to say that I don't know about, because he gave me perspective about people who don't understand. Yeah. Right. And he's not Asian. He's not going to see it that
And
way.
you let it be known that he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all that it is. Like, he's a dope ass fucking dude.
Yeah, you can't get mad at somebody for not understanding.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's my personal problem too.
Mhm.
That's a lot of work I do in my therapy with interactions with people and just being in society. Not everyone understands, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking personal attack on you.
Yeah. And that's what happens too, right? We get really personal with our hurt, and we
Right.
kind of project it out to other people, right? And so when he asked that question, I wasn't upset. There was no reason to be upset. I'm like, oh, this is a cool conversation to have with somebody who isn't Asian American and may not understand my perspective. And let's say we walked away from that conversation, he still doesn't get it. That's cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as I said my piece.
On his airwaves, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine. You know, and I think too, it's like, I think a lot of buddies hit me up and they're like, bro, I can't believe you asked him that. I was like, what did I ask him? He was like, you asked him about his stand-up special. Right?
Why?
I was like, why not? Like, I'm saying that. And I was like, listen, you have to understand something. There is absolutely no way that I would have been able to ask or even have saw his stand-up special if I wasn't a fan.
Right.
I'm asking from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That you had to go and get a Showtime subscription to watch this.
To watch his. Do you think I'm some kind of fucking asshole that went out of my way to watch his stand-up special to watch him fail?
Yeah.
No, I went to go see something that
Let
because
me
I
see what my boy's up to.
yeah,
right?
like he was fucking funny on the Rogan podcast. I
Yeah.
like him on the King and the Sting. So I saw his stand-up and I didn't like it, and I was like, oh shit! Like, as somebody who's a fan of his, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then he let me know his perspective. He was talking about, well, listen, if I didn't do that Showtime, but whether it was early or not, or people didn't think it was that great, right? He goes, I now have 3 more stand-up specials with Showtime.
Right.
That was the most viewed stand-up special on Showtime in the history.
And I remember clearly he put it to you where he was like, if you just started for 6 months and then they offered you an hour special, you're not gonna take it?
Yeah. And I was like, you don't know me at all. I'm a bitch. I'm a bitch. I said no. You know? And so
And that's the thing. You can't fucking lie to this guy.
yeah.
Right? He's not a liar either, right?
Yeah, he's not a liar either.
He's faced some fucking shit inside of an octagon. What's he gotta fucking lose after you,
yeah,
right?
and dude, Brendan Schaub is fucking cool, dude.
Yeah,
like
I imagine.
being on that podcast and hearing him speak, like, he's a funny ass dude. Like, there's no way I know this much stuff about him if I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
If not, then I'm just a fucking crazy person.
He stepped up Rogan's slang game too.
yeah.
He started using Merc.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. I hope
Made it up.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. You could find Ed at EdParkVP. You could also find his podcast at
Bible study at Momo.
yeah. So go ahead and check that out. You'll see Genius Brains every Thursday and Sundays. The last week I was gone because that was actually my first break from the podcast in 2 years.
Nice.
So it actually, I needed that.
You deserved it.
Yeah, I fucking needed it, dude. I didn't realize how bad I needed it. So, well, we're back, and we'll see you guys every Thursdays and Sundays, and we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.